To you all. I say good afternoon. Um, I was away in Kazakhstan, in a town called Astana, where I was attending the World Health Organization meeting on primary health care. And while I was there, that's why I heard about the declaration by Prophet Magaya as having had a cure for HIV and AIDS. So it has taken me some time since I came back. I wanted to know exactly what was happening. And we called a meeting with with the Prophet Magaya, and the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe, our regulatory body, the Secretary for Health, and our research unit, the National Institute of Health Research. We had a very good meeting, and we were very open to each other with Prophet Magaya. And at the end of the day, like he has said, he's apologized for having gone a bit too fast and not realizing his popularity and the impact of his message to the general population of Zimbabwe. Normally, you will have other prophets who are of a small caliber. They will talk to a small congregation, and there would not be any distortions coming out of whatever they say. But in this particular exercise, because of his popularity and the coverage that he got, from the media, his message came out, and it kind of set some distortions in the system that we have in the regulation of medicines in Zimbabwe. However, he now appreciates that there are regulations to be followed, which is very good. And because of that, we want to continue emphasizing to the population that whatever antiretrovirals that you are on, please carry on taking them. Prophet Magaya's medications are not yet approved. Yes, he's got the claim on the basis of the research which was carried out in India, but that was in India and not in Zimbabwe. For the purposes of registration of a drug in Zimbabwe, there are the regulations which have to be followed. I also want everybody to know that he holds a license, but that is the license which he was basing on. That license will give him the opportunity, he's always held that license. That license gives him the opportunity to be able to register his medication, his herbal complementary medicine, either as an allopathic, which will require clinical trials, or alternatively, just as a complement. appreciate the new discoveries. We prefer those discoveries to go through scientifically proven processes. And those scientifically proven processes are what we are following now. He has sent the message of apology, and he has guaranteed us that there will be not even one single individual in Zimbabwe and from outside, because he's had a lot of communication from outside Zimbabwe. People asking if they could access the product. He has assured us that he's not going to dispense any of his medication until the medication has gone through the thorough testing process. And that thorough testing process will start with him giving us the documentation from India. We need to see what the Indians had done. And from that, we'll forward the process through our Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe. We will involve independent physicians, independent nephrologists, independent doctors and scientists, who will be able to carry out this evaluation process. And at the end of the day, it becomes relevant for us to be able to say Prophet Magaya's medicines work or they don't work. So right now, there is no medicine from Prophet Magaya which is registered or which is approved for use in Zimbabwe or elsewhere for that matter. So for us, we are very grateful that he has come forward in this fashion. He is a man of God, and he's agreed that where mistakes are made, they have to be corrected. And where you have to follow the regulations, you must follow the regulations. So we are glad that he is now following the regulations. Yes, he might have been under some form of pressure and excitement, but naturally, is now back in the fold. It is not our responsibility to thwart anyone's ideas or discoveries. We want discoveries in Zimbabwe. We've been using herbal concoctions from other countries. They come here and we accept them. I will not mention any names of those particular products, but you know them. We got so many of them coming from outside Zimbabwe, and they are not going through rigorous processes. But for this particular one, because it's started as a controversial product, it is in everybody's interest to ensure that it goes through a thorough testing process, a rigorous process, a scientific process, so that at the end of the day, we can all be able to say it was relevant or it was not relevant. We are going to make sure that everything is done in a transparent manner, and Prophet Magaya's people will be part of the team, and everybody will be checking each other so that we don't come out with any falsification of results. We are an authority, we are a ministry, we are genuine, and we have made sure that whatever we do will be in line with this laid down laws. We are happy that he's now come, and the ministry, we are now going to carry out, and himself are now going to carry out, this this clinical trial. I also want to point out that we've also noticed our clinicians, as a result of this, it's actually been an eye-opener, Prophet Magaya. You've caused the repercussion of effects. Our clinicians have come to us and they've reported to us that generally herbs which are not tested, which are coming from outside Zimbabwe, have caused some problems. And there is records as to what problems have been caused. You have to realize that why we want to go through this clinical trial is to eliminate all those problems, the medical side effects. We want to make sure that there is no side effects. The usual side effects are renal shutdown, renal failure, or toxicity affecting the liver. So these are the issues we want to check, in this product of Prophet Magaya. However, it has now come to light also that there are some products which are being sold here in Zimbabwe, coming out of other countries, and they haven't gone through such rigorous testing. And it now means that, we will have to introduce a new format of approving all these other complementary medicines which are coming out of other countries, Our clinicians have clearly pointed out that they've seen patients who have been affected, and it now means that we must make sure that we treat the local products in the same manner as we treat the outside products. So we are having to review our regulations as well. This is something which I've picked up. I'm new in the ministry, and I've gone through the various regulations. I'm scientific, and I've realized that we need to ensure that we improve on some of the approaches that we are using in the registration of our complementary medicines. So, in summary, we are grateful that Prophet Magaya has come forward and apologized, and we are encouraging our population to stick to the medication that they had been given by the doctors, the antiretroviral therapy. Let's maintain that. Let's not rush to Prophet Magaya. Let's not pressurize him for the medication until we as a ministry have come out with a clear position, green light or red light. You shall be advised on the outcome. We are not going to give you a time frame, but as you realize that we have to come up with that protocol, and that protocol has got to follow the international standards of setting up clinical trials. So that is what we're going to do. So Prophet Magaya, thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone. Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I want to personally thank you for your courage. Yes, this happened, but you've realized that, we all have to follow the law and the regulations. So this is our way. We've censored you, and you've agreed that you will abide by the regulations, by the laws as determined by the government of Zimbabwe. We want to give you the opportunity to proceed and bring your products forward for us to be able to make a determination on the efficacy of your products. What you made were claims. So we want to make sure that your claims are either correct or they are wrong. That is what the situation is. You made your statement. It was a popular statement, but naturally you realize that there are some people who are desperate. They would have come forward to you wanting assistance. So we had to ensure that we sanitize the whole medical environment and make sure that you don't take a big burden for yourself as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your courage of coming forward, and accepting that we handle the things, the process in the legal manner.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
We called him today.
Yes, so my question is on the raid yesterday. What was the purpose of the raid when we had called him? Was there some form of misunderstanding that led to that raid, or that's something that was just unfortunate?
The raid, yes.
Raid.
Oh, oh, that one. No, the raid is something totally independent. We only set our meeting. In fact, we had called him yesterday. I had given instruction for him to be invited, yesterday. And the raid, was through MCAZ. They are independent. We want them to remain independent and be able to tackle any issues that they feel have to be handled. They've got a statutory instrument which allows them, to carry out inspections. So I think it's something which happened independently.
Oh, on the lipstick, I was explaining the technology that was discovered in India. And I said the guys that are coming to, which were helping me, they found a technology which increases, I can't remember the scientific name, in our body, which stimulates the production of our blood. So I was explaining the technology, how far technology has gone outside Zimbabwe. And I was keen to bring such technology in our own production in Zimbabwe.
Yes, sir. My name is Magaya from HIV.
Yes. The complementary medicines I'm talking about, they've been coming to Zimbabwe for quite some time. But when we were discussing, in our discussion today with the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe, we wanted to know exactly how they are registered here. And that's when we discovered that, the process is not a long process for complementary medicines, right? But for the other way of registering is where the medicines have to go through a clinical trial process. So the ones which were coming from outside were not going through the clinical trial process. And at the same time, we now have information as a result of this issue here on hand. There's a lot of doctors who come forward and also indicated that the products coming from outside are actually causing a lot of side effects. You see, when the patients visit their doctors and the doctors start interviewing them, they found out that these patients were taking products, complementary products from outside Zimbabwe. And then when they send the patients for blood tests, they suddenly discover that the patients might be having renal failure. So that's what we call herbal toxicity, right? At the same time, it could also happen with any other herbs, from angobanda, sangomas. This is quite common. So we want to strengthen the testing process, the authorization process. We want to make sure, don't forget, our main point is to make sure that the population is protected. So we will not leave any stone unturned in as far as the complementary herbal medicines are concerned, right? We are working on a plan to ensure that they go through a rigorous testing process to ensure that our population is protected. If we are having to do the same for our local products, surely for those products which are similar coming from outside Zimbabwe, we should equally subject them to a rigorous testing process and come up with a scientific outcome which cannot be challenged. There are guidelines which we will have to follow. So it only means whoever has got products, we shall be considering shortly on how we're going to take action, and make sure that our population is well protected.
First of all, I've been holding what I have for many years, and there's no one who can stand there and claim that I've given them, meaning I was able to hold it. After I announced, including the journalists that were there, they requested that I can actually give them samples that I didn't give anyone. And I have not sold any bottle even after the announcement, because my announcement was very clear. I said I shall wait for my government to give a final statement. It is there in the video, it is there in every letter that I have written to every authority. On terms of publicity, if it was publicity, I would have chickened out by now and said, don't test what I have. But I'm still here, and I'm very glad that the government has given me an opportunity to test what I carry. It's not a publicity stunt. If it was, there was a way out. Yesterday, there was a way out. My office was raided. Today, I would have just said, I'm not coming there. I've been offered a lot by outside countries to come and do it in their countries, but I'm still here and I'm saying I want to go through the clinical test, and I'm very glad because the government gave me an opportunity. They said, you can finance it if it's having a problem. So I said, I can finance the clinical trial until it's done. So I carry a product that I know if it's tested by any fire, it will give me good results.
In actual fact, let me just add on, that's one other angle which is very, very interesting. Prophet Magaya is going to finance the whole clinical trial. So it makes a lot of sense for us as well. And that is the most likely formula for any future products, especially the external ones. They will have to finance the clinical trials. And I realize that that is what happens in other countries. If you want, even for MCAS right now, if an Indian company or whatever company wants to sell a drug or register a drug here, a medicine here in Zimbabwe, they have to pay for the clinical trials, for the trials, which have to be carried out by Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe. So that we're happy with, that is going to meet the costs. We will identify the personnel, set up the team, and move forward.
Yes, sir.
My question is directed to the corporate.
Yes.
I'm seeking clarity on what you're going to do to prefer to have the test done outside the country than here.
First of all, the plant is from Zimbabwe. I wanted to protect the plant because when you do such things in a place where the plant is, it means that it can go into everyone's ears very quickly. Second of all, I was also looking for accredited laboratories. Where I went, it is respected in many countries, and they've got enough equipment to test, because I knew that this is a big announcement. I didn't want to miss my words or miss my announcement. So they were supposed to go through all 5 types of clinical tests, and they went through that. So, and as well, looking at India, and on its level of medical levels, they are higher and they have got high equipment. So that was the other reason why I went out. Yes, both the results from here are going to be complementing the results from India. Remember, the Honorable Minister said we want to receive the report from India first. That's the first stage. Then the second stage is taking people that are HIV positive, who are going to sign and say we are willing to go through the test. And then you administrate, after testing the drug, if it's safe for human consumption. That's the first trial, the first protocol trial, whereby they test safety. If they have proven the safety of the drug, we then place them in, then give them to people to administrate. Facts are facts. If people are healed, they are healed. If they're not healed, the ministry will announce.
However, I can see Prophet is drifting. You know, we wouldn't want you to start making a statement of that nature
Thank you.
because we've just come out of it. This is now for us to be able to say we are going to conduct a clinical trial, and the format of the clinical trial is going to be set by us as the ministry. So don't put him under pressure to say.
My question is directed to the court. Read the decision which you took of supposedly rushing to announce without consulting.
You see, after talking to the authorities, everything will start to show a bit of more light that everything was rushed, and the reason of the rush was because of what I was holding, the excitement, which overwhelmed me. And I spoke before I looked into authorities' regulations. For me to come and apologize, it is a sign of regretting of the announcement that I rushed before looking at the authorities that regulates the laws of Zimbabwe. Here we've got almost all journalists of all newspapers. I don't know how they're going to carry it. I was talking to someone and I said, we'll see how we sleep, but we'll also see how we rise. I believe that since we are now following all the proper channels, the results will redeem my time.
And to the church, are you going to say something?
There's the other TV already here, which is screening.